I just think this is something that creates a solution to a problem that no one has. No offense if you have rainbow shelves. It makes reading more of a passive activity than I think it really should be. It is that time of year again, folks. Black Friday is right around the corner, or it's possibly tomorrow. I thought we had a whole extra week of November before Thanksgiving and Black Friday. I was very wrong about that. And then the rest of the shopping heavy holidays are swift on its heels. No doubt you've been inundated with promotional emails for weeks now, and you've probably already seen a plethora of gift guides, including gift guides for readers. I'm a big proponent of mindful consumption, which is exactly what it sounds like, essentially thinking through the potential value of a purchase before committing to it. While the book world is perhaps not the most guilty of overconsumption, in the sense that readers typically hold on to their books for quite a while, paper is recyclable, books don't expire, it does still encourage a lot of buying. Books themselves, of course, but also accessories and add-ons for those books. I watch a fair amount of mindful consumption content, and one of my favorite channels is Shawna Ripari. I will link her down below somewhere, and her content in the past year has been phenomenal. But she has one series that I enjoy watching called Talking You Out of Buying XYZ Products. Given that I've been getting hit with a lot more holiday sale advertisements and shopping guides posted all over the place, I was inspired to do a similar video de-influencing you from buying book accessories. I compiled this list relatively randomly based on TikToks and Instagram reels that I've seen repeatedly and that just caught my eye. And to be clear, nothing on this list is some horrible purchase. Everything here does have some use value. But the question is whether it has a use value specifically for you at this moment in time. Most of these items are marketed as, say, must-haves for book lovers or items every reader needs. And then I think it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, well, if I consider myself to be a good reader or real reader, or if I want to be a good real reader, then I need to buy these things too. And we know that that's just not true. The only thing you need to be a reader is a book and the ability to read. Before we get into it, I'm going to make the same disclaimer that Shawna does and say that at the end of the day, how you spend your money is a private matter between you and your bank account. I can't tell you how to spend your money, but I can demonstrate the process of questioning a purchase and evaluating whether this is something you will be happy you bought or end up regretting. Because that's what we don't want, is for you to part with your hard-earned money only to end up with a pile of junk you never use, wishing you had your cash back. And of course, if there's any item on this list that you absolutely love and you're thinking, yes, I have been looking for that forever, this is exactly what I need in my life, then I am happy for you. The point is that you just think it through. Given that my last video was on the more somber side, shall I say, I think this one will be a little more fun, lighthearted, laid back, relaxed. So grab a snack, grab your knitting, and let's look at some interesting book accessories. Let's start with a product that has tempted me several times in the past year alone, the library cart, also known as a TBR cart. I can see why people want these, is why I did, is they are very cute, very aesthetic, and also have a nostalgic feel to them that's very appealing. It reminds me of going into the library as a child and feeling like it was just this vast magical space. That said, my first thought is, do you have stairs in your home? And do you have children or even pets who are going to launch this down the stairs? I don't know why this is something I'm worried about, but I feel like in the wrong environment, this is an accident waiting to happen. So clearly the library cart has a use to store books, but is it the most practical book storage solution for you? because it is a freestanding cart on wheels, and I don't think that is going to work well for everybody and for everyone's living situation. Space is the most obvious issue because it is two-sided. You would either need both sides exposed or at least enough floor space to turn the cart around and flip both sides as needed. Plus, it looks like it would take up more floor space compared to like shelves that you're putting up high on a wall, or a bookcase that's going flush up against the wall that is only like one book depth rather than two. Like I said, I have considered buying one of these, but really I know that I don't actually have just the space on my floor to contain it. And now you'll also see these referred to fairly often as TBR carts, where readers are taking their books that they plan on reading in the near future off of their shelves and onto the cart. And this is definitely a cute idea, but it might make more sense in theory than in practice. For example, my whole book collection is in one big bookcase in my bedroom, and if I take out all my TBR books and separate them out onto a cart, then in the case there are big gaps where those books are supposed to be, and that just looks kind of weird, and like I could be using that space better. Surely you already know what books are on your list. Like, do you really need two different spaces? And of course, I can see some good use cases, specifically like if you have a smallish book collection, you don't already have bookshelves or a case, and you like the look of the cart, you have the space for it, there you go. I think this would also work well, like if you have a sort of sub-collection of books that would make sense to separate out. Like if you have college textbooks that you want to keep separate from your regular book collection. What I would like to use this for, if I had the space, is to separate out books that I plan on using as research for my writing and other writing craft adjacent books, because that just to me makes sense to keep those in a separate place so that like my writing area is a dedicated place. It just occurred to me that I should probably mention pricing. Most of the time when you see these accessories mentioned on social media or linked, they're usually from Amazon, so that's where I'm going to look. And these TBR library carts range anywhere from a smaller plastic one that is about 20 bucks to a larger metal case that is over 120. So for the $20 cart, I would have to question how durable is it? How long is it going to last? And then for the $120, $130 carts, that's a pretty penny. That's not cheap. In fact, you could potentially get a whole wooden bookcase for about that price. I believe mine, which is 6-7 shelves high, was around 120, maybe 150. That was several years ago. Because, you know, with a traditional wooden bookcase, you're not going to have wheels that could potentially get stuck or broken or fall off. You're not going to have, I don't know if these are painted, but if they are painted, you're not going to have paint chips. You're not going to have dents in the side. So all of that is to say, consider your options, consider the potential value you're going to get in the short term and in the long term. So those are my big takeaways for the library/TBR cart. 1, do you really have the space for it? And 2, does the system align with your needs? If your answers are yes and yes, please enjoy your cart. I hope you love it, because I still do want one of these in the future. Moving right along, I've got to talk about these leafy bookmarks.
Must-have book accessories part 11. An obvious must-have are bookmarks. You can get these basic paper ones pretty much anywhere. If you want something a little different, these Sprout bookmarks are super cute and unique. I got these from Amazon, so you basically just stick them in between the pages you want to mark, and look how cute that looks. You can also just stick them at the top and they come out like this. These are made from a super soft and flexible silicone, so they won't damage your pages and they keep in shape.
I knew I had to include these the second I saw them, because I would lose these so fast. They'd probably never even make it into a book. Like, I'm a plant lover, and these are adorable, no doubt, but they seem like so fiddly, like such a hassle. I'd have less of an issue with these if, like, the stem portion was longer, and they'd be easier to keep track of and probably stay within a book better. But as is, they kind of remind me of confetti. And because they're so short and small, it almost looks like it would be difficult to actually open up to the page where the bookmark is, because there's not a whole lot to, like, you know, make that gap between the pages and latch onto and open it up, which kind of defeats the purpose. Every reader has their preferred bookmarking methods. I'm a heathen who uses crumpled up receipts, random business cards. I've been known to use a knitting needle in desperate times, but these just seem like more of a hassle than they're worth. So on Amazon, these are between $5 and $7 for packs of either 6 or 8. And is that going to break the bank? No, but in my opinion, even $5 is too much money to spend on something that is very likely going to end up floating around a random junk drawer somewhere. There is nothing wrong with a pretty bookmark, but they should probably be a little bit more practical than these. So I know I said that none of the products on this list are a horrible purchase, but to be honest, I think this next one comes pretty darn close. It is a Kindle holder snack bowl pillow contraption. I just think this is something that creates a solution to a problem that no one has. So it's a 3-in-1 Kindle stand, pillow, and snack bowl. And I'm immediately thrown off by the fuzzy pillow portion. My questions are, 1, why does the bowl need to be inside of a pillow? Because you're not sleeping on it while you're eating out of the bowl. And 2, what about like the crumbs and like the dipping sauces and stuff that can get on the fuzzy pillow material? Like, how are you going to clean this? So this specific stand bowl pillow is $46 on Amazon, and the bowl is detachable and the pillow can be machine washed, but then the pillow needs to be reshaped after washing. And like, okay, it's washable, cool, that's fine, but surely you already own both a bowl and a pillow. Why do they need to be together? Like, it looks like it's just going to create more work, more stuff to wash and take up more space in your home and on your bed for not a whole lot of benefit. Especially because the pillow portion, even when it's detached, is just a donut shape with a hole in the center. It doesn't look like something you really want to be sleeping on or resting on. It's not like a neck pillow that can go around your neck. Doesn't seem to be like an opening for that. So, what are you doing with it? I guess I just don't get that. I just don't get that. And again, it's $46 for stuff you already have. And even if you don't already have the Kindle stand part, you can get one of those for around $10, $12, $15. Or you can be a cheapskate like me and prop your Kindle up on like a mug or so or something. Also, it seems like the stand doesn't work unless you're connecting it to the bowl pillow portion. So if you want to use the stand but don't need a snack and don't need to use the bowl part, then you're either stuck with an empty bowl in your lap or you need a whole second stand. I just don't see the need to combine these 3 things for $46 worth of stuff. You can definitely create the same effect with things you already have at home. Put your pillow in your lap, get a bowl out of the cabinet, prop your book on something, or buy a separate stand. $46, that's at least 2 brand new hardcover books and like a whole box worth of used books. I know which one I would rather have. I'm guessing you probably do too. But real quick, if you're enjoying this video so far and would like to see more like it, do consider hitting that subscribe button. This is Thought Couture. I'm Kelsey Jo, and I publish new videos just about every week on book recommendations and reviews, creative writing advice, and literary and bookish chats and commentary like this. Speaking of book stands, next up we have this singular book holder. You've absolutely seen these in bookstores and libraries, and in those contexts, I completely understand why you'd be using them, to display a book for sale or as part of like a curated collection. But do you need to display books like this in your home? Now, I can see how this could be a cute way to fill up empty space, like on a shelf or in a case. Like, if you have one shelf that's short a few books and you want to fill that gap, this would do it. But then, of course, what are you going to do with this stand when you inevitably buy more books to fill that gap? Also, notice that you probably already did, but the books that this creator is putting on this stand are hardcovers that are already standing up on their own. So the stand is redundant. Now, I get using a stand like this for paperbacks because they're not as rigid, usually thinner, probably aren't going to stand up on their own for very long. But in the case of hardcovers, it kind of looks like a waste of money. As for the cost of these stands, looks like you can get a pack of 3 metal ones for about $13, some acrylic stands for $7 or $8, and the metal wire stands pack of 4 for $10. And again, that's not a wild amount of money, but it kind of is if you're using this, to display something that can already stand up on its own, or if you're using them more as a temporary solution to just fill up space. Eventually, you're probably going to fill that space with something else, books, and then what are you going to do with these? Probably the best use case I can think of for stands like these is for those of you who might be book collectors and you do own books that are specifically for display because they are rare, they're old, they're collector's items, in which case, yes, clearly you do want to display them, and they probably do need that extra support. Like, yeah, that would make sense to me. Otherwise, this seems like the kind of product that would appeal primarily to people who have rainbow bookshelves, like they organize their books in the rainbow format. No offense if you have rainbow shelves, but I do think these are aimed at people who value the visuals over the utility. Again, one stand is probably about the width of maybe 3 to 4 to 5 books, and I know which I would rather fill my space with. So now let's talk about a Kindle setup featuring a stand and a remote.
Either you'll think this e-reader accessory is a genius idea, or you're about to really judge me. I bought an automatic page turner and this arm that I could attach to my bedside table, so now I can do reading sessions with the freedom to keep my arms cozied up in bed under a blanket without getting my arms cold. It's the little things.
So I have a lot to say about this one, and my thoughts are like weirdly philosophical, but bear with me. So first off, just a little disclaimer, I can totally see how someone could use this as an accessibility product, so much so that I wonder if that was perhaps its original use, or maybe I'm just giving product designers like too much credit. If that is the case for you and a Kindle remote and a wall stand makes reading comfortable and accessible for you, then clearly that is a very valuable purchase. You're not who I'm addressing. Otherwise, what I really dislike about this setup is that it makes reading more of a passive activity than I think it really should be. Here, the only interaction you have with your book is clicking a remote button. In comparison with a physical book, you have to be more physically engaged. You feel the weight of the book in your hands. You can feel the texture of the paper and the cover. You have to do the flipping motion. You hear the page flip. You smell the book if there is an odor to it. And I think that's why, at least in part, people do still generally enjoy physical books over digital books. It is a pleasurable sensory experience. And then that physical engagement leads to greater mental engagement. You've probably heard a teacher in the past say, like, you're going to remember your notes better if you write them by hand rather than typing them out. And that would be why that physical engagement and interaction helps your brain connect to the material better. Now here, the setup just kind of turns reading and the book almost into like television or a movie that can just pass before your eyes. And I suppose that's fine if you're reading purely for entertainment, but if you want a deeper connection to the literature, I don't think this is the right setup for you. Now with that little reading philosophy out of the way, we can talk about some practical considerations. First thought is that arm looks kind of bulky. Are you sure you have a suitable setup area and storage space? Do you mind this big thing sitting around somewhere when you're not using it? So if you were looking at this on Amazon, it looks like you could get a package with both a little arm and a remote for around $32. The remotes by themselves are ranging from 15 to about 25. So if you want the largest, tallest stand and the separate remote, you're looking at about 60 to possibly $70. And that's kind of an investment, honestly. Do you think you're going to read in this position often enough to warrant shelling out $70? I guess my question with this one is it really that hard and that inconvenient and cumbersome to hold a Kindle and press the side of it to flip the screen? Do you really need this whole relatively expensive setup for, like, how much is it really helping you? All in all, I can't pretend I like this product. I would not recommend it. I suppose if it's everything you ever dreamed of and you love it so much, enjoy, but I can't say I get it. And finally, we have a book embosser. I don't have a huge problem with this one. I just don't quite see the point when you can just write your name on the inside cover with a pen or a pencil you already own. And I know some people are strongly against writing in books, but to my mind, if you write in pencil, it can always be erased. And even if you write in pen, it could be taped over or something like that. Whereas with this embossing, it kind of seems even more destructive, doesn't it? Could you smooth that out if you wanted or needed to? I'm not so sure you could. Also, on some videos featuring the book embosser, you can see how some embossings end up with like a crinkle around it, which I imagine no one actually wants that. I also have to wonder, like, do you want to use this on all of your books? Because if you have a large library, that looks like it would take forever. So these appear to cost between, say, about $18 to $25, and most of the ones available on Amazon are, actually I think all of them are personalizable. And this is one of those products I think, it's definitely cute. A lot of these embossing designs are actually quite pretty, but it's very much a novelty. And I'm not so sure that it really enhances the reading experience. Like, in other words, I think it appeals more to the concept of being a reader rather than the activity of reading itself. Again, I don't hate it. In fact, I think if someone were to give this to me like as a gift, I would pretty much definitely use it. But did it solve a problem for me that I was having? Not really. Well, those are all the book accessories I had to go through today. I had a fun, chill time. I hope you did as well. I also hope this gave you some ideas as to how you can look at and question these products that pop up on social media all the time, all these must-haves and things every reader needs to evaluate whether those claims are actually true for you. I'm curious to know, were you talked out of buying any of these products? Or conversely, did I miss any amazing benefits of these items that you know and love? If so, feel free to enlighten me in the comments. As always, thank you so very much for watching. I hope you either will have had, or are currently having a lovely Thanksgiving. Or if you don't choose to celebrate that or are not American, just a nice day. If you enjoyed this video, I think you'll also enjoy this one that YouTube chose specifically for you. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.